And I think, what businesses need to do is to decide who they are looking to attract, because it's not a cookie cutter approach. You can't have a one size fits all approach to recruitment. And I think it's about thinking about the community that you want to attract and then tailoring your recruitment process in order to attract that particular community.
Cleaning toilets wearing a £700 tracksuit. Now, my wardrobe probably totals half £700, including my shoes and bag.
And it was cleaning a pub, and I was asked to clean toilets. But at the time, I only had a certain amount of clothes. Obviously, traveling, moving around all the time. So I wore my Hugo Boss tracksuit and went to work, and yeah, decided to clean toilets and start changing my life.
So, when organisations say there's a talent shortage, is there really a talent shortage? Or do organisations just need to be looking in different places? Well, I've got just the person to talk to today about this. We've got Kirsty Palmer with me today. How are you doing, Kirsty?
I'm doing good, thanks, Chris. Although I'm a bit sad that someone's stolen summer because it's just pouring down with rain, and it has been for most of the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. The temperatures have dropped off a cliff, haven't they? And I think, autumn's definitely here. But hey, look, we're bringing a bit of sunshine into the talent acquisition space, talent attraction space. And I think, it's been great chatting with you and kind of finding out about the organisation, because when you contacted us, I thought, look, we just have to get you on for a conversation, because we're really keen that we are offering advice to employers about how they do find ways, and dare I say it, slightly different ways of attracting and retaining talent. So I'll start gassing on. Tell us a bit about yourself, Kirsty.
Thanks, Chris. So I spent 20 years working in the charity sector, primarily working with blind and partially sighted people. People like myself, I'm registered blind, and I became quite disillusioned, really, because there were so many talented individuals who could work, could have the skills, the capability to really excel in a business, but they were overlooked just because of their disability. And I just found it really super frustrating. I then moved to our charity organisation, Radical Recruit, who had just completed a project to work with a group of homeless men and women who'd been brought in during the government's Everybody In campaign during the pandemic, and was absolutely wowed by the impact of that project, and thought, oh my gosh, I really want to be part of that. So I worked with Radical Recruit for a little while, and then my business partners, Emma and Holly, Emma founded Radical Recruit, and Holly had worked with us for some time and spent 14 years in recruitment. Kind of got together and said we should set up a business really that helps businesses turn their diversity rhetoric into meaningful action. So that's what we did back last year. We now have B-Radical. And B-Radical offers consultancy, training, facilitation, and recruitment solutions to businesses who are looking to improve diversity within their organisation.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You got some radicals, as you call them. That there's plenty of stories there about how they have really, I suppose, fulfill their potential and change their lives around because of the support you guys are given. And I think it's like we'll talk about that a bit later on, and we've got a little story to share at the end. So look, it's really great, and it's great you can have such a role to play and such a thing to say about this topic, because it's really important. I love the thing about you talking about turning it from rhetoric into action. So like on that kind of, what is I like to ask simple questions sometimes, but why is having that diversity really important? The reason I ask that question is I think often it can just be seen as a box to tick. Often, not all the time, but often. And when you just see it as a box to tick, is kind of what is diversity and what does diversity bring to organizations? Sometimes is, I don't know, even not considered properly, or people forget about what it really is about. So, what is it about diversity that is so important for organizations?
Well, I think number one, I think businesses fail to understand what diversity actually is. So we went to an event very recently, and we had some senior execs standing up at the front to talk about the amazing work they were doing in the diversity space. And diversity to them meant employing more females and more people who weren't white. And that's great. I mean, I'm not knocking that in the slightest, but it's much wider than that. And people often, I think, don't consider diversity in a really broad lens. So looking at it's not just about increasing the number of women, it's not just about increasing people who are not the number of people who are not white within your organization, but there's so many other pools of talent that you could be fishing from, such as the disabled community, the prison leaver community. It could be done through a much wider lens. Yes, I do appreciate there may be work involved when you start recruiting from those pools of talent, but I think it's really important work, given lots of organisations are telling us there's a talent shortage. And in terms of what the benefits are, well, look, me as a disabled person, I want to see people like me within other organisations. And I think it's really important that businesses reflect the communities that they serve. If you've got a diverse workforce, it's going to aid innovation, it's going to aid productivity, it's going to aid creativity within your business. It also attracts talent. The young people of today, it's really important to them that they look at a business and see that there's people like them within the business before they apply. That, I think that's just a really important factor when you're looking for new and upcoming talent as well.
Absolutely right. I think that what you say about innovation is really, really interesting as well, because that kind of diversity of thought and different experiences that really adds so much more richness to an organization. And we don't have all the answers ourselves, do we? It's only when we spend time with other people and get their perspectives that we truly come up with stuff that's innovative. And I think it's that just purely by having so many different backgrounds and cultures and a view on life and different lived experiences is massively important to bring to a business.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because it's something, it's the way you've always done it. I've always recruited people that look like me or sound like me. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And I think if you are a hiring manager and you're looking to really thrive as a team, you've got to have that mix of diversity to make sure that you're achieving the best results as a team.
But what other things do you think organizations can do to I suppose turn the dial even further when it comes to looking at kind of diversity of talent? Are there any kind of things that they can do? Say they've got a meeting next week or next month, and kind of what would you put on their agenda, and in terms of actual going back to the actions thing, what they could do to change things?
I think it's about looking at the skills that you require within your business, and then looking at the candidates that you're currently not attracting. So whereas there's a whole heap of focus on who is applying for our roles, I think the focus should be who isn't. So, for example, I worked with several businesses, and I say, have you considered tapping into the disabled community? Because there's whole heaps of talent there that people aren't tapping into. And it's usually, disabled people don't apply for our jobs. Well, there's a reason for that. It's not because disabled people don't want to work for you. It's probably because your recruitment process isn't accessible, or you're not advertising in the right way. And I think, what businesses need to do is to decide who they are looking to attract, because it's not a cookie cutter approach. You can't have a one size fits all approach to recruitment. And I think it's about thinking about the community that you want to attract, and then tailoring your recruitment process in order to attract that particular community.
You're right. It's often it is kind of one will gravitate towards, okay, let's look at the great candidates we already have, and let's then just replicate that and look for the same people. But yeah, you're so right. In fact, actually, I think that's a really nice thing to do, is literally going, who are you not recruiting? And then go, right, how could we recruit them? Are there any let's talk about some of the barriers that maybe some people might perceive to that, and maybe they might be like, I'm not sure. Is that kind of what barriers do you think they might see to going down that route?
As in the employer or the candidate?
I suppose the employer, first of all. Mention the candidate, absolutely right. But first of all, the employer. Have you found that it's maybe something that initially stops them for thinking about going down different routes to find different people?
I think a lot of it is time and resources. So you've got overstretched HR teams. They're all tired, and really want to do good work, but maybe don't have the time. I think in terms of, if you are looking to recruit um, people from the disabled community, there's a whole heap of fear and speculation and worry uh, that they may not get it right. And it, and I honestly do think that businesses want to do the right thing, but the fear is around not getting it right. Perhaps there's a fear of litigation. And I honestly think it's more about the employer's fear than anything else. If you're interviewing somebody that clearly has a visible disability, does your hiring manager have the confidence to have a conversation around, that person's disability and the support that they would need in work, for example? Often not. It's around, I think it's the Samsung did some research a couple of years ago, which revealed that almost half the population felt uncomfortable about talking about disability in the workplace. So if you've got half the workplace that won't even talk about disability, how are we going to move forward? And I think it's about having the courageous conversations. I also think you've got to review your recruitment processes and your procedures and your policies. So sometimes there's a degree of work involved to make it happen, and I think that's often a barrier. If you think about the prison leaver community, for example, if you're thinking about recruiting from that particular talent pool, it might be a fear of risk. What's the risk appetite of the organisation? Have you got, again, is there policies and procedures in place in case that individual needs to take time off for a probation appointment? All those sorts of things. So I think there is a degree of work involved. It's really important that people put in that work to make sure that your candidates thrive within your business. But if we don't do that work, then you're not going to attract that talent, and therefore, people that you're not going to be filling those roles that you really want to fill.
And do you guys talk to lots of organisations, keeps you busy, I bet, and what kind of things do you do to help them kind of get to that point going to move past that sticking point? Do you kind of do workshops with them, getting them in a room, or kind of, because I imagine it's like, once they just have a chance to focus on it and talk to the right people, then maybe things become a bit clearer to them and less daunting.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do offer is something called a human library. And I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, Chris, but so basically, our radicals, so our candidates, act as books, and an organisation that takes part, their volunteers or the people that the delegates, they act as readers. And the readers have an opportunity to spend around 10 minutes with each book and to ask questions and to really find out from those individuals about their life experiences and their barriers to work. So, for example, if you were a business and you were looking to recruit from the prison leaver community, for example, we could get a whole heap of prison leavers in the room, and you can come along and you can have those really honest and open conversations. And the idea is to remove that bias that some people may well have. We've all got pictures in our heads of particular communities. I know that, if I say to you blind person, you're going to think of somebody with a guide dog and a stick. I don't have either of those. I don't have a guide dog or a stick. So it's a really great way for people to have those conversations and to learn from the people that you are basically looking to recruit, and to understand what their barriers are, and then to go away as an organisation and to have a think about how you can redress those barriers within your organisation. The other thing that we can offer is we can offer a review of your end-to-end recruitment process. My colleague Emma, she will come along and she'll review your end-to-end recruitment process, and let you know those areas where you're doing really well, because everybody does really well in most respects, but also to give you some tips and pointers on how you can improve that process, in terms of the communities that you're looking to attract into your business.
Yeah, lovely. I think that's really nice. I think also people can, organisations just have to look inside as well, don't they? And they've probably got the people to talk to, even if it's, however many people there are, there's people they can talk to, which ties into the whole thing about just talk to your employees. And they are a great source of insights and experiences that that will help improve the recruitment process. And I'm certainly with you on looking at the recruitment process, because especially going back to the thing about the busyness of HR and how busy they can be, and you can sometimes, dare I say it, feel like people are going through the cycle of recruiting, hitting, hitting these hiring targets, etc. And actually to take that step back and just really go, let's really look at our recruitment process and look at the user journey, the journey in that, and really, let's be honest, is there some things we can improve? I think that's really, really nice.
Yeah. And as I said before, Chris, I often come across businesses that have spent so much money, they've brought in consultants or whatever to just start design this, amazing recruitment process. And they're often wowed by it and think it's amazing. But often it can present more barriers than, if it was a really kind of simple send in your CV process. Because for example, I had a chap the other day. He's 53. He's visually impaired, and he applied for a job with a big charity. And one of the questions he was asked at 53 on his application was, "What job did your parents do when you were 14?" So his dad actually passed away. You're talking 30 years ago, so I accept that question may be relevant if if you're recruiting much younger people, but asking him to go back 30 years and try and remember what his dad was doing when he was 14, it was a bit of a stretch for him.
Well, look, that's great. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff we can unpick there, but what I'm really keen to do is is share one of your B-Radical stories. And so who is it who we're going to be sharing?
So we've chosen Krishna as a really good example of how our programs can help people to change their lives, move forward, and how, you know, how people can give back, I suppose, and give back after, you know, they've been successful themselves. Is not to forget where you come from, I suppose, and that's Krishna all over. Just a super guy, and someone that I was really proud to work with.
Well, we do have a real little bit of it. There was it's Krishna cleaning a toilet in a £700 tracksuit. So yeah, we'll roll that in a few seconds. But yeah, so look, really appreciate you you having a chat with us, Kirsty, and you have a good rest of the day.
Thanks ever so much, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
My name's Krishna Mowgli.
Fabulous. So Chris, I met you a couple of years back, and one of the things that's always stuck in my mind is when you told the story about you cleaning toilets wearing a £700 tracksuit. Now, my wardrobe probably totals half £700, including my shoes and bags. So tell us what led you to those circumstances? Why were you cleaning toilets wearing a £700 tracksuit?
Well, I was in prison. I went to prison I got just 11 years, 9 months, nearly 12 years, with a bit of extra added time. I got different varied convictions. And then when I came out, I was still up to no good, hence why I had still had some money. But I kept having some trouble readjusting. And then I just decided that I didn't want to live this life no more. I didn't want to go through the struggle. So I was sleeping, I was moving from different houses every week. And one day I was staying at someone's sofa and I just woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to move. And then so I went online, Job Centre Plus, found a cleaning job and applied for it. Went in, it was cleaning a pub. And I was asked to clean toilets. But at the time, I only had a certain amount of clothes, obviously traveling, moving around all the time. So I wore my Hugo Boss tracksuit and went to work. And yeah, decided to clean toilets and start changing my life. And that was 2 years ago.
So Chris, when you were cleaning those toilets, because I've been in some pretty awful pub toilets. They're not pleasant. And you're cleaning those toilets. Did you feel like going back to your previous life? Or was it, what made you stay on track at that point? Because cleaning pub toilets is not pleasant.
No, it wasn't pleasant. It was probably one of the worst experiences about changing that I had, because again, it's just, I don't know, it's like a, I don't know, it's not, I wouldn't say, it made me feel degraded. And I know you were like, now when I look at it, that actually doesn't, it shouldn't affect how it made me feel. It was a job, but because I never worked for nobody. I always worked for myself, doing whatever I was doing, and money came easy and fast. I was earning £12.50 an hour, and yeah, I wasn't happy with it, but I just knew I had to do it, and I thought about going back, but listen, I wasted 10 years of my life, hardship, didn't get nowhere, ended up sitting in a cell, ended up losing my dad, coming out, breaking my hip, and all of these other problems that I've had. And no way would I ever go back.
Oh, I'm really pleased that you're not going back. And so what support did you get? Because I remember meeting you a couple of years ago, and you joined a Radical Recruit program. Tell us a bit more about the support that you got from Radical Recruit.
Now that's a bit easier for me to talk about. Now, Radical Recruit. So I spoke to someone in probation, and probation told me about Radical Recruit. So I signed up. I wasn't willingly, I was taking part. I was just taking part to tick the boxes. I got there, and I had a bit of a disagreement with one of the Radical team, and after that disagreement, I was ready to walk out. But Emma turned around to me and said to me, she was talking to me. So there was Alicia and Emma who was talking to me at the time, and Alicia helped me through all of the programs and helped me get up to speed with sort of computer literacy. But Emma gave me something where she said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I didn't know, so I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And she was like, maybe that's where you need to start. And that was just like something that you had to hear. And then I thought, okay, cool. So what do I need to do? Like, where am I going? What do I want? And then slowly, I started looking at different businesses, people that I'm working with. When I was doing the cleaning job, I did approach the business owner, the director, and I spoke to him, and I made him an offer. I negotiated a way of building a company on his infrastructure that he had in place already, and he agreed. And now me and the guy I used to clean toilets for are in partnership. We are directors of a different company now, and I've managed to get myself into the waste meat industry, Universal Removals. I've got a removals company that I work with, and now all I do is I do sales and I build my company.
What a fantastic story. Do you think that you would have had the confidence to approach your now business partner if you'd never engaged with Radical? Do you think you'd still be cleaning those toilets?
No, I don't think so, because I was very ambitious. Like,
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted, but what it gave me was direction. So when I say I knew what I knew I wanted to have a house. I knew I wanted to look after my family. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And that's where Radical came in, because they gave me the support and they helped me organize everything in my mind, and organize some parts of life. So yeah, Radical helped me with computer literacy. It helped me get more confident on computers. They got me in a tech for prison leavers, and I got a laptop, which I now use to do some work for my businesses. They've helped me emotionally when my father passed away. Some of the Radical team got in contact with me and spoke to me. So Radical has been a great help, because even now, after establishing myself and understanding where I want to go, I've still come back to Radical, because Radical did so much for me. I wanted to do something back. And that's why I've started to do some recruitment through Radical and give other Radicals an opportunity. So I had a few cleaning jobs, which we had some temporary cleaning jobs, which we had some Radicals come in and do. And so work with other Radicals who have set up their own businesses as well. And I take people on Emma and Kirsty and the Radical team's recommendation.
I mean, what a fantastic story, a complete 360. You started out as a radical. You've then gone on to set up not one, but several businesses. And now you're coming back and saying, I want to employ more radicals. And I know you were really keen, Chris, weren't you, to open up opportunities for other people who've maybe been to prison, gone down the wrong path, and really needed that second chance. And how does that make you feel, being able to give people those opportunities now?
I'm still I don't understand how I got here. I don't know how I've managed to get into this position where I can do that. But how does it make me feel? It makes me feel really good because I was that person who needed an opportunity. I just needed someone just to say, come on, we can do this, and that's what Radical did for me. And then they gave me some skills to be able to do that in turn for someone else. And now I've got I've got a whole team of people, marketing, everyone who works with me, but we give back to the community. So we're
Yeah.
setting up charities and trying to build a mosque, trying to build an orphanage. And these are just some of the things that we're doing at the moment.
It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And you spoke a little bit there about, you're now employing radicals, but you've been able to come to B-Radical, which is the commercial side. So we've got Radical Recruit, which is the charity, and we've
Mhm.
got B-Radical, the commercial side of the business, to come back and ask for advice around, how to manage people who may well have had barriers to work, and how to get the best out of those people when they come to work for you. How important was it to have that kind of advice and guidance there on hand to guide along the way, and to make sure the people that you kind of employed got the best experience?
Dude, that was that's a really good point because I've never employed nobody, so not in a company way, and so I've never had to manage anybody, and um, so it was all just a new learning curve for me.
Yeah.
And Emma gave me some advice, and made me understand actually sometimes you have to think about where you place people, how to make people comfortable, and you look at what certain, if you're working with people with disabilities, you look at how you can help them and how you can work around it. Um, but yeah, Emma really did help me with that because with when I first got the two radicals in, I suggested that we'd put them together, um, and actually it was a management mistake on my part because realistically what I should have done is put them with someone a bit more experienced, um, so they wouldn't be lost or they'd have a bit more direction. So yeah, having that on hand was good because now it's given me something else to think about where I wouldn't have thought about before.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Um, so Chris, I'm aware that you need to run off and have your breakfast. Um, but I just wanted to ask one final question. So we fondly refer to you as Del Boy,
Yeah.
not because you have a market stall down in Peckham, but because
Oh,
we sincerely believe that this time next year you're going to be a millionaire.
well,
Um, Yes, that's what I love. So, Chris, tell us about your ambitions, your aspirations for the future. What do you want to achieve? What's the dream?
that's a big question. It's a big question. So Gemini Essentials, which is one of the companies that I've set up, Gemini Essentials Limited, which is a property maintenance, domestic and commercial. I really want to get this established. I want to have it self-running. Um, I really want to open up a mosque and I want to build an orphanage. There's so many kids that are less fortunate than other parts of the world. And yeah, I've really got trying to move different countries, see, I don't know, just see where it takes me, where all of this takes me. But first off, set up this company, make it self-sufficient, make it self-running, and then start trying to do some charities, because there's no point trying to get, you know, rich and for yourself if you can't help. Just there's no point to it for me.
So your real ambition is not just to be Chris Modley, millionaire. It's about making other lives better as well.
100%. That's
Yeah.
the only goal. Make money is you do something that you love, and the byproduct is money. And if you follow that, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you for giving up your Sunday morning. Thank you for giving up half of your eggs on toast to come and speak with me. And it's been a real pleasure, and we wish you every success and look forward to you employing more radicals as time moves on.
You're going to be with me along the way.
Yeah, of course. Every step, mate. Every step.